after party. My mic fell literally the second the intro stopped.
I just saw a panicked face and a black screen for a second.
It was really
very exciting.
Oh
Hello and welcome to We'll Throw the After Party, your favorite weekly late night broadcast. We're no longer on Saturday. We're no longer at 7 p.m. We're changing everything up. I'm just gonna keep running with the intro.
Please, my microphone is not going back on.
You're doing great. This whole show was your idea. What are we doing?
We are starting the first episode of our series, which we are affectionately titled Becoming a Swiftie. This is part 1 of 3, where I am going through all of the Taylor Swift eras and asking questions, learning all the lore, the history, the drama at the time that goes along with these songs, with these albums. And I'm so excited for you all to join me. If you are also new to the Taylor Swift universe and haven't had like a concise place to find all of these information and resources, I hope you are so excited to join me on this journey. It's going to be really great. But of course, I'm not doing this alone. I am joined by my lovely co-host, Marissa. How's it going?
Hi. It's good. I'm so excited. It's going to be so much fun. We're revisiting Debut and Fearless and a little bit of Fearless TV today. Oh, I can't wait. I got my merch. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Oh yeah, what are we rocking the sweatshirts right now? I have a list of banned books sweatshirt that was somebody's local library fundraiser online that I totally just was like, that's a cool sweatshirt, so I'm gonna get it. So that's what I'm rocking today. What you got going?
I have my Eras Tour merch, the traditional blue crew neck that I don't think is blue, but the gray quarter zip I concede is definitely gray. So we can call this blue if the other one is gray.
Just a quick update on tonight's technical production. I will be holding my microphone for the next 2 hours. And my audio team, production team will kill me, but that's fine. They will all make fun of me at work on Monday. Sorry, I just wanted to explain why I'm going to be, especially for the live stream folks, playing like with this microphone like this until I figure out what to do. Please continue.
Very exciting. That's just, hey, our other co-host, Liz, producer, technical difficulties of the night, Liz TM. How's it going?
You know what? We've had a really fun week, haven't we? There's so many of us hanging out over on the Clock app tonight. I see some of you have found your way over to YouTube, which is super, super exciting. We're so happy to have you at We'll Throw the After Party. But it's been quite the week with the Taylor Swift pre-sales. I've kind of become the hub of many people's ticket buying journey. And it's just made me, I've gotten hundreds of DMs this week from people trying to buy tickets. And the amount of you that actually managed to get tickets and have come back and told me that you got tickets is literally like, I've cried so many times this week because of people's success stories. I took all of our stories to the news, not once, not twice, but 4 times this week. I was on the news talking about you guys and everything that's been happening. It's just been a super fulfilling week to be like a content creator. I muted myself there. And like to be with all of you and have this space to talk about what's happening. Yeah, and it's been kind of bananas too at the same time. Not just that, but holy shit, like it's been one of the weirdest pre-sale weeks I have ever seen in my time tracking these stories. So I'm kind of at a loss for words after a week of trying to talk about it. I feel like I still am completely frazzled about the whole thing.
Yeah, and then in the middle of all of it, we got a new Taylor's version announcement released.
1989 Taylor's version! Okay, just quickly, where does 1989 rank for everybody?
Number 3.
Low.
I am so screwed by Folklore and Evermore. Just immediately when those albums came out, they took number 1 and number 2. So it's like, I can't even rank the Taylor Swift albums without taking those out because it's like, there's nothing that's ever going to change my mind that Folklore and Evermore are number 1 and number 2. So 1989 for me is like number 4. But if we didn't have Folklore and Evermore to compete with, it would be number 2. So Okay, I'm seeing, you know what? I don't think these are unpopular opinions. I think a lot of people are agreeing with us. I'm seeing 1, 7, 2, 4 on YouTube. We have top 3 for Bucky, number 5 for JJ, 3 or 4. Okay, Bunky's revising, I think 3. Okay, so pack mixed bag for a lot of folks. I respect it.
I couldn't remember exactly how I had ranked, and I knew Red and 1989 were my bottom 2. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, but apparently at the time that I went through and did all my spreadsheet calculations, it ranked dead last for me. So
well,
hopefully,
you know what? We're doing this series for a reason. We're doing this series for a reason. And maybe by the end of the series, 1989 will be at the top of your list. Maybe it won't be, but at least we're giving it the opportunity. Every album gets the opportunity to shine on the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the whole design.
Now, if you don't know, we all live on multiple ends of the continent. Like, we couldn't all live further apart. Does anyone know where I put my fucking Yeti holder?
On the other side of you.
Yes. It's right. Sly literally lives on the West Coast. And how did you know
4 time zones apart. I did watch you put it down.
God. That is so funny. Sorry for the interruption. Please continue, Marissa.
No, I was just saying, every album will get its due. We're doing Debut and Fearless today. Next week will be Speak Now and Red. And then in 2 weeks, it will be 1989 and Reputation. Yeah. So we're going through all of the early hits. We're doing it all. And deep cuts, that's the word.
Sly's demand.
All the deep cuts.
Sly's very loving demand for the show was they wanted to know everything. Sly was like, we're not talking about the albums. Like, I want to know what was going down. So Marissa and I are completely digging in, going way back in the lore. We're pulling up, sorry, that was very loud. We're pulling up MTV videos. We're pulling up CMA footage. We're pulling up the Disney Channel drama. Like, we're way back in 2010 tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Liz once spent about 2 hours explaining.
Sorry, I totally cut you off there.
No, I was just going to say, Liz once spent like 2 hours explaining One Direction drama to Sly. And I think they were really inspired by that. So we're going in.
Shout out if anyone was at that live. I think that there's some people that are here that were on the live where we talked about the Liam Payne drama for like hours and hours and hours. So if you were here for that, yeah. Also, just really, really quickly, I want to say a big shout out to some people gifting on TikTok. Thank you so much. And someone said that they voted for me for the Coast. Thank you so much for the votes. Oh, yeah. If you don't know, I had 2 nominations come out this week, Best TikTok and Best Twitter Account. Whoop, whoop. And we'll toss the link in the chat if you would like to toss some votes my way. I must say, I saw that nomination for Best Twitter Account and I said, did we really need to go that far? Did we really need to expose the Twitter account where all I do is say things about Taylor Swift with that video from The Bear of Jeremy White being like, why are you fucking with me? Why are you fucking with me? Over and over again. Because that's all my Twitter is these days. But if you think that qualifies as the best Twitter account, then you know what? I love you for it. I'm going to use my mask to hold my microphone in place.
Ingenuity, women in STEM.
This is women in STEM. This is women in STEM. Okay, sorry, our intro's gone totally off the rails tonight, my friends. Where are we?
No, this was great.
I had a hard transition. And we could totally loop back to that. Somebody say something about being in 2010 again.
We're going way back to 2010 tonight.
Speaking of, leads us right into what we've been enjoying, which my first thing I've been enjoying this week is a playlist I created a while back and have finally decided I'm done fiddling with it, that I affectionately titled Screaming into the Void like it's 2008, which
even more appropriate. We're going farther than 2010. We're going all the way to 2008. Amazing.
Yeah.
The entire premise of this playlist was Liz had offhandedly mentioned on her like very first impressions like live about Speak Now TV that Electro Touch didn't feel like a Fall Out Boy song, which I think she's since reconsidered. But the entire point of this playlist was proving that it is, in fact, a very like folly era.
If Sly's gonna do one thing, it's research. It is research before revisiting any conversation. Sly will never come back and be like, have you reconsidered that? Sly will come back and say, I made a thorough playlist to disprove what you thought, and I did it with all the love in my heart. And that's why Sly is like cinnamon roll that will kill you. It's so true. I am so glad you did this. I am so glad you did this.
But yeah, that's currently the backtrack to this podcast. I usually have music on in the background, so that's what we're rocking with. It's a bunch of folly songs and then a couple songs from the similar era that have the same vibe, and of course Electric Touch. But yeah, it's like 30 minutes, 8-ish songs, whatever. But yeah, definitely check that out. It should be on Apple Music and Spotify if you want to rock out with us.
We can toss the link in the chat maybe. We'll find all the links that we've been referencing at some point and put them all in the chat. How's that sound?
Incredible.
What else have you been?
Speaking of 2000s grunge pop punk, Olivia Rodrigo has a new song out today called Bad Idea Right, and it's a bop. It's a bop and a half. That is all I wrote. I wrote 1989 TV announcement and Bad Idea Right are all the things I've been enjoying because everything else has struck work, and that's a secret. So yes, congratulations to Olivia Rodrigo for continuing to only release bops. Lead singles, all bops.
Sorry. You know what I will say? She is giving Avril Lavigne.
Oh, down. Yeah.
The Canadian heart in me is like bursting at the fact that we have like, we had Alanis, we have Avril, and it's like we have Olivia coming in with that same kind of like angry pop, punk, rock kind of like hard hitting shit. It's
crunchy.
It's crunchy. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah. I think a lot of Avril fans are like waking up like feeling like something's changed in the atmosphere.
That's me.
That's Marissa. That was Marissa at 3 a.m. Like, oh no, I must awaken.
Me in second grade walking down the halls of my Catholic school singing Boyfriend by Avril Lavigne. I'm back.
We love to see
beautiful. I've been enjoying hanging out with everybody about these Toronto pre-sales. There's so many things that have happened this week, and there's like literally 13,000 new people that have decided to hang out on TikTok, which is so fun, and like a bazillion people on Instagram, and my DMs have never been more broken. If you're new around here, you don't know, my DMs have never worked on TikTok specifically. My DMs literally don't function. 0% of the time my DMs work on TikTok, and people are always like, did you see this? And I'm like, no, my TikTok DMs haven't worked from like day one. Maybe it's because I'm Canadian. I don't know. Here's some can opening ASMR. But especially this week, there's been like hundreds of people trying to DM me questions. And every time I open my TikTok, I just get question marks. Like everything shows up as question marks. So I'm like, that's really helpful. So that's what I've been enjoying this week.
Good.
It's been a lot, but it's been really fun helping everyone. I love seeing people get Taylor Swift tickets. It's better than Christmas. It feels like the lottery. It feels like lightning is striking all over Canada. It's beautiful. Cheers to that. That's what I've been enjoying. I got waitlisted though, and I don't have tickets, and I have not been enjoying that, but it's fine. I'm chilling. I'm fine.
It's all gonna be fine.
I'm out here making videos being like, if you've been waitlisted, don't worry about it. And then I'm here like, but it's fine. It's all good. It's gonna be great. Oh my God, Sly, what else have you been enjoying this week?
Great question. I've been enjoying a video game called Super Space Club, which is very exciting. My co-host on Point in Progress, Mario, got a copy from Graham, who's the solo dev on it, and Mario gave me the copy and then bought it himself to support, which was very exciting. But I'm having a blast. It's Graham Reed is somebody who's in the same like fan community as a lot of us, especially on Pip, and had a mobile game back when I was in high school that I really loved. It's called Hectocube. It's like a reverse Pong type game that was really cool. And then just recently came out with Super Space Club, which is like a wave battler, same cubic styling, and it has really, really great lo-fi hip hop beat soundtrack that's incredible. It's gorgeous. It's so fun. It is Windows only, so if you are also a Mac user like me, it did run incredible on my partition, which is not always the case for Windows games that I play. But it was super smooth, even on, like a very limited portion of my hard drive that's a totally legal copy of Windows. So that's really fun. And I think we will be interviewing Graham about the process of developing this game soon. So keep an eye on Pip for that. It'll be really exciting.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. Other than that, lots of sports, honestly.
So listen, if you don't know, Sly is like the resident sports correspondent on We'll Throw the After Party. In fact, We'll Throw the After Party. The after party is for all the sports that have happened in the last 7 days. Like, this is the official. Give us like a 30-second highlight reel. Give us like the quick cuts of sports in the past 7 days.
Yeah. So I woke up and saw the score of the Sweden-Japan game. So I then did sit down and watch it. Very exciting. Sweden did win. And I had a feeling that whoever won this would go on for it all. But the last time I was super passionate about like my Hearts team that started doing really well in a tournament playoff type setting, they did lose in the final. So I don't have great hopes. However, barring that, I will be in Seattle on Sunday to see my third Storm game of the season. Very exciting. It's against the Phoenix Mercury. Hopefully, this will be the first time I ever see a Storm win live. It'll be my fourth game. I've never seen them win. But yeah, if you're in Seattle, I'll actually be in Seattle like every week this month.
Oh my God.
So if you're around, if you're in the city, let's meet up, do lunch, something, because lots of driving for me in this month.
Love that for you. Back to the technical difficulties, just for a brief moment. I just switched my mic. Is my audio garbage now?
It's
because, like, remember when my mic fell? Remember? The cord came undone. And I've been using this microphone the whole show. And only just now did I go, hey, I don't think the microphone that I just spent the whole first half of the show messing with is even working. And in fact, it was not. But I sound okay?
Yeah, you sound
gorgeous.
Great. I'm really glad I did all that manual labor. Okay, and it's working over on the other stream too. Thank you for confirming that. Really? Okay, sorry. I just wanted to make sure I didn't sound like a chipmunk over here. Please continue.
That's it.
That was it.
Pretty much all I do want to say, we do need to resolve the strike for me personally, because I am realizing that I only watch things when I'm forced to talk about them live on air, and not being able to talk about shows has made it really hard for me personally to watch TV and movies. And so like, if we could wrap that up, if we can start paying people fairly, if we can get solid contracts, that would be great, because I would love to actually watch all the really cool things coming out.
And talk about them.
I
don't want to contradict that. We do need a fair deal, and the strike should be resolved as soon as possible. I have found that, in fact, I have been having more one-on-one conversations with my actual friends instead, because I can't talk about it on the internet. So, like, good for my social life, bad for the future of entertainment.
That's the clip to promote this week's show. Good for my social life, bad for the future of entertainment. We'll do the after party. I love it. Well, I had a transition to make a few minutes ago, so I'm just going to make it now.
Incredible.
Let's continue on our journey about sports and talk about debut.
Right. Yeah.
Sly, are you ready for a fact that will blow your mind?
Oh, is this the fun fact that you teased before the show?
Let's do our, yes, it is. Let's do our favorite segment of what's accompanying us over the show this evening, and do a little cheers before I tell you the fact that's going to change your life. What are you cheersing with tonight, Sly?
I am cheersing with a Swedish imported strawberry lime cider that I'm very excited that I did see on Allison Lucan's Instagram story, and it's delicious.
Beautiful. Marissa, what do you got?
I have old coffee like I always do. I did not do the math.
Love committing to the bit.
Made this. Honestly, I think I made this at about 1 p.m. So it's only 5 hours old. It's really not that old.
That's really good for Marissa. That's fresh. That's a fresh coffee in Marissa's world.
Yeah.
I have the Easter egg Diet Coke, which I usually refuse to say the brand name on air, but this is an Easter egg to some Taylor stories coming down in future episodes. So cheers. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Cheers, 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 cheers. Everybody watching, let us know what you're cheersing with.
Cheers.
So this is the beginning of our go ahead.
Love unemotional support water bottle. We also have one of those going on for sure.
I got 2 with me tonight. Yep, room temperature and cold. And I also have a Powerade. And I also have a Diet Coke that I was drinking earlier today. And then I almost drank right before the show started, even though it's should not be drank now. It's been a wild day for liquids at my desk. So this is our new Becoming a Swiftie mini-series talking about all the Taylor Swift albums, walking through the stories, the drama, the music, everything that became Swiftie culture. And in doing research for the show, and in fact, about 15 minutes before the pre-show, a TikTok showed up on my For You page that reminded me of a fact that I had forgotten, like could not believe. And when I heard this, I was like, Sly is never going to be the same.
Oh, what?
Sly, Debut and Fearless exist because of hockey.
What? Elaborate.
We will over the next hour, in fact.
Okay. Wait. Hold on. I have a follow-up question to that statement.
Well, let's just introduce what the first segment of the show is, which is Sly's Big Questions, everybody. Yay! Round of applause for our first segment of the night. Woohoo! Sly, ask us your big questions.
This one was in my notes, but I did accidentally see a clip of a hockey player that I have really strong feelings about because of fan fiction. I don't know anything about the real person, but a fictional characterization of this person is like my mortal enemy. And I accidentally saw a clip of him talking on the internet where he made a comment that Teardrops on My Guitar is about him, and it officially ruined the song for me. I thought that was a joke. Please tell me that's not true.
That is a joke. I can confirm that is a joke. And Teardrops on My Guitar is not about the hockey player in question.
Okay. That one
we almost derailed the whole show with that. The whole show almost just went down the drain with that. All right, please continue. Ask us what are the big questions that you're coming into tonight's conversation with?
Okay, my first question was when, why, how did the Picture to Burn lyric change happen? Because like from the outside, it felt like I didn't hear about it until like years and years later that people even mentioned the fact that the lyrics had changed at all.
Mm-hmm. 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 I had to do research for this.
Okay.
Do we want Sly to give all of their questions and then we answer, or are we answering along the way?
Answer this along the way. Yeah, let's break it down. Yeah.
Great. I had to do research on this. I don't think anyone has made like a complete oral history of this story. I think they really should.
I think you should.
Culture I think
you should. I think you should. This is Marissa. This is Missa Bobissa content.
This is the story I'm going to take up. It's going to become
I will
my debut.
say the hockey
book.
player, for those asking, is of course Drew Dowdy of the LA Kings, who is often the villain in the specific characters of Hockey RPF that I tend to read. So a fictionalized version of him is my mortal enemy.
We'll
I feel like
circle
there
back.
are a lot of
We'll circle
Drews
back.
in hockey.
We'll circle back on that. Marissa, give us an oral history of the lyric change in Picture to Burn.
According to the Wikipedia page for Picture to Burn, the song, apparently the lyric change was not, I couldn't get a clear answer because Liz said, I don't know. And then said, Marissa, do you know? Because I love Picture to Burn. And I said, no, I don't know. All I know is that my CD of Debut has one version. And then the copy that I bought on iTunes like a year later, before anyone had taught me how to download a CD onto iTunes, I was using hard-earned iTunes gift cards. The version of the song that I bought on iTunes a year later was a different version of lyrics. And I didn't know why, but according to Wikipedia, the version that is streaming, that is like conventionally known lyrics, is the radio edit. And so when the song was released as a single, that became the official lyrics. Because Picture to Burn wasn't released as a single until like 2 years after, or like a year and a half after.
It was like one of the last
self-titled
big songs of Debut era,
Yeah, it was the 4th single. So Debut was 2006, and then Picture to Burn became a single in like February of 2008. So yeah, there was a lot of time that passed in there. And so, because I was like, the copy of the CD I bought was not like at time of release. It was like probably a year later. So it was like a 2007 CD, but like it didn't become a single until 2008. So
what really sparked this?
It's all been lost to time.
Because I had seen the music video many a time, and we all know I have never had great hearing. It's gotten worse with time, but when I was younger, I like my auditory processing like autofilled a lot of words and songs, and I had remembered watching the music video thinking I knew that it was the previous lyrics, and so revisiting the music video and seeing that that was not the case was like a bit of a shock to me. So that it makes sense that it was the radio edit version of the song that became the single. But yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
So here's a question from Bucky on YouTube. Does that mean that the Your Gay line was censored the same way as Cheap Ask Your Top Rosé is censored for the radio? Yes.
Yeah. That's basically what a radio edit is. It's there's another line in Teardrops in Your Guitar where she says, I laugh because he's so damn funny, which is not in the radio edit. Like anything that would have been to a mom in 2006, not going on the radio.
And sometimes different markets get different cuts. So I'm sure that there probably were markets that got the original version, right? And then certain markets that said, we won't play it if this word's in it. So in 2006, you may have heard the song on the radio and been like, oh, but like I heard it with the original lyrics in it. And like that could be very, very true. Like you did, but someone in another market did not. And then as time progressed and everyone realized that is not politically correct, it's not a nice thing to say, this is like a homophobic lyric, they just erased that original version out and replaced it. The same way radios now, like radio stations like who choose to only play Taylor's versions, eliminate the original versions from their libraries and only store the Taylor's versions. Taylor's version, blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
So I suppose that lyric change wasn't as big of a deal as the Better Than Revenge lyric change. This is interesting.
So from what I was told by Alexis, our other co-host, who we love dearly, was that there were a lot of radio markets at the time who refused to play Better Than Revenge, and that's probably the reason why the lyric change happened, was so that those radio markets would play the song with the re-release.
So Better Than Revenge, right, was a single. And it wasn't the biggest single for her, to the point where we don't even remember that Better Than Revenge was supposed to be a single.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind
Yeah.
of like the single that didn't single, because it did.
Yeah.
Like, the music video was in the music video countdowns. Like, it was there, right? But it kind of just didn't.
It'll be so interesting to visit next week.
Yes, on the Speak Now Red TV show. What's another question you got for us, Sly?
What is with Taylor and Little Black Dresses? Because there were 2 songs within this group of listenings, at least of the songs that I listened to for the show, that both referenced Little Black Dresses.
Little black dress. Yeah.
Mhm.
Marissa, do you have a thought or an explanation on this? Because I have one, but if you have one, you can start.
I do have a thought. It's not founded on anything.
I bet we have the exact same thought. I think we okay, you go first.
This era of Taylor is writing what she thinks romance is. And so I think when Taylor thinks romance and dating, she thinks like you wear a little black dress when you go out on a date night. Like, it gives very much like romance novel writer that's never experienced romance. Like, it's that's my perspective.
It is very much a teenage perspective on mature love and relationships.
Yeah.
And when you put the debut use of it against the Fearless use of it, like, they were all written in that same period of like high school and transitioning out of high school. And then to me, that's one of the it's one of the metaphors that when you're listening back to Fearless TV, it has a different weight to it, because now she is someone that has worn the little black dress on a date. Like, she is someone that understands like these figments of and like representations of what it means to be sexy and desirable, and like what it means to wear a little black dress has a different outcome than like how you dream it will when you're 16 and wanting to be asked on a date.
Yeah.
And I think it's also interesting when you think of that in the context of the Picture to Burn music video, because she does wear a black dress in that music video. Yep. Oh, here's a good
with the excellent take, as always. It being a big symbol in country music scene when she was growing up listening to music, and it's like her attempt to like twist or like change how she's using that lyric. Interesting.
Yeah. So the idea of like reclaiming the little black dress, I think, really comes in with the Fearless TV and like how those songs came to be. I'm so excited to dig into the songs and tell you about where hockey fits into all of it. But let's get through all of your questions first.
All right. How many of Taylor Swift announcements are Good Morning America exclusives? Because 2 of the Essential War videos that you assigned for me were GMA, and then like who are her preferred announcement outlets, like TV, like traditional publishing? Like, who does she usually go to for?
So you said
PR and pop culture commentator, producer Liz. I don't know.
You said something very interesting that I want to fill everybody in on. So we put together a syllabus. Like, I'm trying to find a way to put Sly and syllabus in the same word.
A slylabus.
A slylabus for this show. And we sent like a whole bunch of links and things from the eras for Sly to look at, that like really get a feel for what Debut and Fearless were like. Do y'all want a copy of it for next week's show? We can put out the one for Speak Now and Red and Speak Now TV. So if you want to see and feel the era, we'll put it on our Instagram After Party Show, SHO. How's that sound? And that way next week you guys can see all the references that we might be pulling up. Okay. We have people that want to see the references. Okay. So watch out on Instagram After Party Show. We will post it. Okay. GMA is really interesting, right? And it's interesting to think of Taylor today and the outlets that she chooses to do work with in relation to Debut and Fearless, when everybody wanted Taylor Swift on their show. Like, Taylor's done every network, every show, every slot, you know, daytime, morning, late night. She's done everything. And she's been treated very differently by outlets. And she's been treated and reported on very differently by outlets. And today, she is very specific about where she goes and who she partners with. And GMA is regularly in rotation if she's doing a press tour of where she decides to go. People Magazine is the outlet that tends to get the exclusive on a story, or when there's drama going on, somehow there's an insider close to Taylor that's willing to speak to People Magazine. Same with Vogue, same with Elle. Those are two like print outlets, long form outlets that have allowed her to write pieces, have covers, publish pieces herself. So I don't really have an answer to your question of like how many times has she been on GMA, or why did she go back? But when we get to like the whole Kanye 2016 kind of incident, right? Like, that was a moment where, you know, until that moment, Taylor would do radio for everyone. She would do late night for everyone. She would do morning for everyone. And then so many people and media owners and commentators and shows did really mean pieces on her and commentary on her. And then she did no press for Reputation. And then she did Lover and was very selective about who got to interview her for Lover. And GMA was one of the first that she went back to, and she gave them multiple exclusives that era. So it's, you know what I mean? It's really, really interesting to see. Yeah.
That is so fascinating.
Debut and Fearless are really fun because you can watch her do all of the late night shows. Like, she's got 10 bazillion late night and daytime performances and stuff, and she doesn't have that for other eras. Like, it's very curated. So that's part of the fun of Debut and Fearless to me, is like, holy shit, she was working. She was on Ellen. She was on this. She was 9 to 5 Dolly Parton in every single business that would let her in the door.
And it's really interesting. Of the ones you named, like Good Morning America, like People Magazine, those are the ones that tend to, in my experience, be the ones that are more likely to do their due diligence, do their research, ask good questions, and provoke, like, thought-provoking questions, and not necessarily the outlets that tend to farm for baiting questions or a gotcha type answers.
And I'll add one more layer. She works without, and this is not me being salacious. This is not me being rude or anything, but she partners with outlets that really allow publicists to do their job. And to me, one of the best examples of this is like the Jimmy Fallon show. Like, Jimmy Fallon has never asked a hard-hitting question in his career. And that is not shady to Jimmy. That is not the Jimmy Fallon show. Like, you go on Jimmy Fallon, you're going to have a soft interview. You're going to have a soft landing. He's not going to grill you. He's going to be really gentle and like welcoming, and he's going to be excited for you.
But he also gets really quality answers from the people he's working with.
And that makes everybody happy. And the publicists feel like they got their talking points in, and the star feels like they were treated really nicely and like they weren't bullied or humiliated on air. And Jimmy looks like the good guy because he is the good guy of late night TV. That's kind of the reputation, right? So it's interesting. Like, there's a game that's been played and that is easy to play, and you can really see who those outlets are by who Taylor partners with now.
So fast.
I could talk about that for 10 years. Apologies. I just dominated that question. Woo! You got me going about PR.
I love that. I love that I agreed with everything you said, but I couldn't have come up with those points myself. So I just nodded along. That was great.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Incredible. And then my last question for you all are, what of the songs are like confirmed about People versus rumored about People? And I think this is where we're going to dive into all the juiciness here.
So,
well, in Debut, she just drops full names. She basically is giving you home addresses.
Drew looked at me. That's real.
Corey's eyes.
Corey's eyes. Abigail gave
Steven.
Abigail gave everything she had to a guy who changed her mind. Number one single. And Abigail said, "You know what? That's my best friend." That's respect. That's respect. If Marissa wrote a number one global song about me losing my virginity, I don't know if I'd be like, but maybe I would be. Who knows, Marissa? If you give me some of that coin.
I think you personally, Liz, would absolutely be ride or die for Marissa for doing that.
You know what? This is such a chaotic series. I love this. This is so much fun. That's like a trolley problem question for me. Like what we just uncovered. Like, would you still be best friends with Marissa?
No, Liz and I are too Catholic for that. No, I appreciate the perspective. We're cool, but we're not that cool.
We'll see what the future has in store. We'll see if it's a question we have to come back to someday. And if it is, y'all were here for its inception. Okay, I want to talk about hockey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sly, is this the first step in your education into Taylor Swift? There are two Drews. Okay, people get this. They forget this. There were two. There's Teardrops on My Guitar, Drew. Okay. He went to jail recently. We're done with that, Drew. Okay. And that's the only song about that Drew. And then there was a second Drew. And the second Drew is 15 Drew. I walk into my first day of high school and this guy says, "I haven't seen you around before." That is Drew number 2. And Drew number 2 was a hockey player. He had that hockey boy Riz. "Oh, hey, girl, I haven't seen you around before." And Taylor folded like a puck bunny. She said, "That's my man. That's my man."
Is this like a successful hockey player or like
captain of the high school hockey team kind of energy?
Okay.
Like I don't know if he was the captain, but it was the high school hockey team. You know, like big deal. You're gonna date a guy on the hockey team, like, and she did date this guy, and he had an ex-girlfriend who wore a lime green dress to prom that she said she wasn't coming to. And there's an unreleased song called "Permanent Marker." X is the shape I drew through your face and "Permanent Marker" about her. There's like a whole bunch of songs about all this drama that went down at prom. Yes, but Debut and Fearless are about Drew number 2, who was a boyfriend and inspired a lot of work at the time.
I'm so glad Bucky is going on this journey with me.
So if you're a fan of songs like "The Other Side of the Door," you have hockey to thank for that.
I am a fan of that song.
That's about hockey Drew.
We need to find out if
spoiler alert.
One at a time.
I was
going in a different
alert.
direction.
So, okay, Sly speaks first, and then Marissa's gonna change direction. Go.
Other Side of the Door is actually number 1 on my Fearless rankings. So,
see, it all comes back to hockey. Marissa.
Oh, on the Drew thing, we'd need to find out if any of the hateful, bitter songs are about any of the Drews, because my first boyfriend's name was Drew, and he told me that Teardrops on My Guitar was about him, and it very much was not.
That does check out. I don't know if she wrote breakup songs about him, because we have a lot of fighting songs on Fearless, right? Like "The Other Side of the Door," right? Like a lot of those songs are about fighting. "You're Not Sorry" is about a fight, probably with Drew. Like, but we don't really get to breakup other than the songs on Fearless that were about Joe Jonas, right? Like "Forever and Always," it's a Joe Jonas song. So
yeah,
like it's weird. It's a weird situation. It's a weird situation, you know?
I don't like it. The name Drew is tainted forever.
Yeah, for real. So let's like back up a little bit. now that we know that the reason why we have Taylor Swift today is because of a crush on the guy on the high school hockey team, which is incredible. Taylor Swift comes out with a song called Tim McGraw. When you think Tim McGraw, the series is going to have me singing every single song that we reference. It's going to be great. And part of the reason why Tim McGraw performed the way it did was because it was such a ballsy stake on the biggest person in country music, Tim McGraw. And it was like, oh my God, have you heard this girl wrote a song called Tim McGraw about how much blah, blah, blah. And she did this award show performance where she sang Tim McGraw and walked off the stage, all pre-planned. This is all pre-planned, right? And she ends the performance in front of Tim McGraw and she goes, hey, I'm Taylor, and shakes his hand. And it was like a huge, like viral moment that the girl that wrote the song Tim McGraw sang into Tim McGraw, right? And that is part of the origin story of how Taylor did something that even if it wasn't necessarily a marketing move, like her label immediately was like, we can really play on that. Like people are going to eat that up. And thus began the beginning of Taylor Swift marketing genius that we know and love. Like it all started with Tim McGraw, baby. That was the root of so much of what we know today. Of like pick a single that isn't even, I mean, Tim McGraw is a great song, but in debut, you have other songs that are lyrically, sonically more interesting than Tim McGraw is, but they were able to twist that in a way to get people in the door. Very exciting. Very exciting. Yeah, every radio show talked about this Tim McGraw song and her singing to Tim McGraw. And then she won a bunch of award shows for Fearless, like when she was winning stuff for Fearless. Award shows, they rig. They know who's going to win. So they select presenters that will have good reactions to people that win. And he presented awards to Taylor Swift. So it was like, oh my God, it's a full circle moment. She won Entertainer of the Year and Tim McGraw presented it to her.
Fascinating.
Think like a producer, baby. Think like a producer. Yeah. So then we get to Our Song. And I know you had thoughts on the Our Song music video. So would you like to share?
Did I? What were my thoughts?
Or somebody did that. It was kind of like
yes, I did. It was bad. It was just bad. It was like there was like so many reused clips. It was like 3 different like shoots and they were just like piled together and they like repeated the same exact like shot over and over again. There was like no common through line and like all of the like visual narrative like between the different locations was so disjointed. It was rough.
But I think that works for what it was doing, which is we don't know what we're doing yet.
Exactly. So it's not that you're wrong. It's that the point of the Our Song music video was currently she is Tim McGraw girl. And people only know Tim McGraw girl. So who is Taylor Swift in the market? Because she cannot be Tim McGraw girl. That's a moment, not a career. And the Our Song video was like, hold on, I actually took notes here on this. 1 second, just pulling them up. The Our Song video was like Barbie. It was like, is she country Barbie? Because at that point, you didn't have a lot of young women in country that were coming up the same way she was. You had this generation of women dominating country, and dominating in country is probably not the right word because women tend to struggle to dominate the country scene. But you had the chicks were kind of just having their drama still, like they were kind of on the outs. And then you had people like Miranda and you had Carrie and you had these figures that were like popular, but you didn't have like a teenage girl in country. So they went all the way. They said, okay, teenage girl in country, who is she? She's Barbie. She's wearing a big dress on her front door steps and she's got a pink phone and straight hair and eyeliner and like all of this crap that is not Taylor Swift. But that was like what they thought the market wanted. They're like, they want a Barbie doll. They want a teenage girl who's like painting her nails and like chewing gum.
She very much all throughout this era has very much Barbie, like perfectly smooth, like eerily perfect skin, the very dramatic like eye makeup, like it definitely was the like very intentional like heat curls look was right. And
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
they
Marissa.
were doing like unattainable instead of relatable. And I think
Mhm.
where her success really came was when they like pivoted to like, this girl writes really relatable music. We should
Mhm.
make her also look relatable.
Relatable, right? Which is where the
Mhm.
fearless branding comes in, because they never got there with the debut branding. The debut branding, eventually she did go back to the curly hair. I think also because of a maintenance thing. She was touring in very humid states in the summer and her hair was curly. And so she went all the way with the curly hair and the sundresses and the cowboy boots. But it was kind of still like immature in the branding. It was like the
Mhm.
blue and the butterflies and like blue, blue. Like it wasn't a brand that could grow with her. So then when they got to Fearless, they were like, how do we keep the brand authenticity of debut? And they kept the font and they kept the butterflies and they kept the hearts and all of those pieces, but they like stripped it of color. So all you would see is that like hair, right? Like all of the Fearless was about the golden girl curls, because that's relatable, right? Like this is when like if you talk to hairstylists about hair trends, when she debuted the Fearless hair specifically, that year everyone had curled hair for prom. And like I'll never ever forget this. Like even in my hometown, the hairdressers were like, we haven't curled hair for prom in like years and years and years. It was always straight hair. And then she did Fearless and every girl wanted the big, big, big curls. Right? Because it was authentic and different and fun, but not like sparkly Barbie princess, whatever that was during debut. It was authentic to her. So then it became authentic to like bazillions of people.
Fascinating.
Fascinating. Okay, we talked about Picture to Burn and the lyric change. Do we want to go back to that? Is there anything else we want to talk about with Picture to Burn?
It's just a great song. It's a bop.
I had a note about it. What did I say? The music video is still so slay. Like that music video.
Yeah.
Such a silly, goofy time. And going back to like debut, there was a lot of songs that are like borderline on her range at that time. Yes. And I felt like Picture to Burn was much more comfortably in her vocal range at that time. She felt much more well-rounded. Like her voice felt a lot fuller on that song.
1,000%. Especially when you put it beside Should Have Said No, which is the next song I wanted to highlight for you. Should have said no today. Like Reputation Tour Should Have Said No is a different song from debut Should Have Said No. Those are different people. Those are different songs. Like she can sing that song now. And the re-recording is gonna be the greatest re-recording of all time when she redoes Should Have Said No.
It was really interesting, that video you had me watch was the dichotomy of her having incredible, just captivating stage presence and her vocal performance not being great. Like she was struggling through that song, but she had such a captivating stage presence that like you could watch the video, but like I'm so excited when we get later and we get the fuller vocal performance on that song for sure.
Fun fact, that is the first YouTube video posted to her page that is still viewable today. That Should Have Said No performance.
I have a breaking news live update from our hockey names correspondent, Alexis, that I would like to read for you all. I did ask if she could find how many Drews there are in hockey. Drew does not make the top 15 list. From 2009 to 2021, there's not been a time when there was more than 5 Drews in the NHL.
Wow.
However, in the 2018 draft, one had Drew as a last name. Fun fact.
These are important facts, y'all. This is important lore for us.
I would say that is still a lot of Drews.
It's true. It's very, very true. Okay, we've gone through your big questions and had some fun diversions along the way. I think that I want to hear. Shall we do significant songs, or do you want to give us some of your favorites from debut before we get into some of like the drama and stuff?
Let's do that. Yeah. Let's go through all of our top debut songs. I think that would be fun.
Sly gets a top 6 because this is Sly's entry into the community, and then Marissa and I had the harder job of only picking 3. So Sly, why don't you give us your top 6?
So I want to preface this with, when I went through the albums, I did go through and rank all of them, like the entire album top to bottom, and then I went through and created a playlist of all my favorites. And so there are some bigger songs that will not be on these that I do think rank higher than these songs. I am disclaiming that. However, I personally don't want to listen to them a bunch. If I didn't if I couldn't tolerate listening to them over and over again, they did not make the playlist. So these are the debut songs that made my Taylor Swift favorites playlist.
Can I just quickly say that's the disclaimer for this entire series. This is not about the best song. This is Taylor Swift is about each of us, right? And what her songs mean to us. These are Sly's top 6. Sly's allowed whatever top 6 Sly wants. And Marissa's allowed whatever top 3 Marissa wants. And I'll give you my top 3 and you'll probably say I'm the most wrong. And that'll be fine. I never have the collective favorites of anybody's list. So yeah, let's just say that for every show. Like, we're not here to argue about what song did or did not make it, unless it's Exile, which is the best Taylor Swift song of all time. But we'll get to that at a later show. Okay, go ahead. Give us your top 6.
So my number 1 is from debut is Tied Together with a Smile. And I have Mary's Song, The Outside, Cold as You, A Place in This World, and A Perfectly Good Heart.
Good ranking.
Love a ballad.
I do love a ballad. You're so good.
Yeah.
Now, Marissa.
Yeah.
I want you to share your top 3, but do you know the lore about Mary's Song?
No.
All right. Let's just take a brief pause. Just like quick pause.
I've never cared to know because I have such a
No.
It's important to me in my heart.
No. This isn't lore about the song. This is Sly's request about what songs are important to the Taylor Swift community.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're diving deep. We are going straight into the deep end, into the weeds. Like we are like Titanic deep in the weeds of lore now. Okay. Yeah. I would like to take you back. We're going back to Reputation Stan Twitter. Okay. And like I'm gonna Reputation Stan Twitter was like an unbelievable moment of internet culture, because you had all of us who had been in the trenches for Taylor Swift in 2016 with the Kanye stuff, fighting for our lives on Twitter, defending her, right? Defending her to like the end. And then like she debuted the snake on her Instagram, and we were like, and she put out this album about like how she was gonna stand on her own 2 feet. We were like,
was gonna save this for that episode, but I was an avid Twitter user, and I was not at all in the like Taylor Swift realm of Twitter at all. However, I remember the day all of her socials went black, and that was such an iconic piece of like Twitter history that regardless of where you were, like that was a big moment. If you were spent enough time on Twitter, you like remember where you were when that happened. And that was like one of the few things that like really permeated into my social circle is like the rebranding for Reputation.
I love that. Okay, so you get it was like the Big Bang. Like that moment was like the Big Bang. And what it did was this collective of people that had been in the trenches for Taylor Swift this whole time, like got super glued, right? Like it's like everybody knows where they were when that happened, and everyone knows who was here that night and who decided to become a fan at that point, which is fine. At the time, it was a very tense land because it was like, oh, were you talking shit? Like, you think you can walk into our community after giving us so much grief? Like, we've been here the whole time. One of the jokes that emerged from this time, because it really drew together the people that had been here the whole time and the people who had no idea what was going on, was, oh my God. And then people would tweet this, oh my God, I'm outside tonight's stadium and she's sound checking Mary's song. Oh my. And to this day, you see people tweeting, oh my God, I'm outside SoFi Stadium and Taylor Swift is sound checking Mary's song. Oh my. And this like super glued group of people eat it up. So if you ever see Mary's song referenced by Taylor Swift fans, that is one of those core pieces of community that emerged in the Reputation times, when it was like, well, what's something that we can say that like reminds us of who's been here the whole time. And I think it actually originated from a Canadian fan. So shout out to the Canadian Swifties, because I think that came from someone that lives in Saskatchewan, if I'm remembering correctly. But Mary's song has a very important place in the Taylor Swift community, because it's one of those, like, she's never sang it live. She's fucking never going to sing it live. If she does sing it live, we're all going to lose our minds. But every night she's sound checking Mary's song. Every single night she sound checks it, according to us.
I did know that. I thought you were going to tell me who Mary is, and I don't want to know who Mary is. I don't care.
It's her neighbor.
Great. I think I knew that at some point.
I think it's in the book. You have to check. I think if you have debut, I think it actually says. Anyway.
Yeah.
There's a dedication. And, oh my God. I'm like pulling out filing cabinets from the back of my brain. Like, how did I know there's a dedication to her in the debut album booklet? Like,
I read that book cover to cover, like, for weeks.
I bet.
Over and over.
I was just quickly previewing your guys' top 3 rankings, and I want a disclaimer that the only reason Picture to Burn did not make the playlist is because I don't have a copy of the original lyric, and it does just make me sad to hear the lyric change.
That's valid.
As a part of the queer community, I love that line, and I feel like I get to enjoy that line. And it makes me sad to listen to the version without it. So that's the only reason it's not number 1.
That's really real. That's really real.
Marissa, would you like to give us your top 3?
Okay. This is the order that I've decided on. I don't know if it's the order in my heart, but number 1 is Teardrops on My Guitar. Number 2 is Picture to Burn. And number 3 is Mary's Song. Oh my.
Oh my. I guess we do this now. This is what... Oh my. Yep. My top 3 are Should Have Said No.
Yep.
Slaps. I'm Only Me When I'm With You.
Stomp It Out.
And A Place in This World, which is the song that made me a diehard Taylor Swift fan. It was not, and this is where I have to make my biggest Swiftie confession. Okay. You can only be as strong as you are willing to admit to talk about your past. I was not a fan of Our Song, because every girl at my school sang that song at recess. Like, I could not escape that song. And it just, our song is the slip is great. Oh, it like haunted my dreams.
Radio, like the place I live, if you take the buses to school, they only play one very specific country radio station on every single bus, and it was all over the radio for sure. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad that like we all have a traumatizing relationship with Our Song. I didn't mind Teardrops on My Guitar, but it was just I was so not into the cultural response to Our Song. So I cannot say I was there from Our Song. I can say I was there from A Place in This World, because I heard that song and was like, I'm in. It was like my little description on my Facebook profile when we had Facebook profile boxes was, I don't know what I want, so don't ask me because I'm still trying to figure out. Don't know what's down this road. I'm just walking. Like, I just had a little like dashes and hearts and stuff. Yeah, but that's my biggest like Swiftie confession is, like little Liz did not jam with Our Song until much later in life. And now I'm like, Our Song is a slip. And now I'm that girl. But yeah. Oh my God. Fun times. I think that's where we pause our discussion about debut and move into Fearless, shall we?
Yeah.
Oh, this is really okay. Hold on, sorry. My traumatizing thing is I'm pro talk real low and defend that lyric every day. And the talk real low. Yeah, I feel like that line I never understood because I didn't understand the Southern drawl. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like, what do you mean talk real low? Everyone in Canada talks way up here in their mouth.
Yeah.
Everyone talks in Canada way up here at the top of their head. No one talks like in a drawl. So I don't think that's how you say that word. Anyway, shall we talk about Fearless?
I can't say drawl without a drawl, so.
Drawl. Southern drawl.
Oh my god. Let's talk about Fearless. This is where I would love to hand the reins over to Marissa. Marissa.
Yeah.
We have a lot of Jonas Brothering to do in this series. Like there's a lot of Jonas Brothers happening across the Taylor Swift lore. And is this where you reveal where you're going to be on our mini-series finale night?
Yes, I was gonna say single tier, but it's many tiers. I'm gonna miss 1989 Reputation because I am going to the Jonas Brothers 5 albums, one night tour thing.
Yay.
So yeah, I'm gonna see the Moth in person. Maybe
So
I'll bring a flame. I'll hold the matches. Yes. I've never seen the Jonas Brothers. I've only seen them on the DVD of the Hannah Montana tour opening for her. So can't wait to finally hear Burning Up live.
Very exciting.
So exciting. So excited. I'm so excited for you. So as now you wear the crown of the Jonas Brothers fan of the show as the only co-host with tickets to see the Jonas Brothers. You now have to own. You have to. It's not a choice you have. It is just a fact. Let's talk about the Joe Jonas of it all and talk about how Joe Jonas and Disney come into the picture, because I don't think that we acknowledge enough how it wasn't just Joe Jonas. It was like Taylor became a part of Disney. Yeah. Like her people just put her right in.
Yeah. She was an unofficial Disney Channel girly. And I mean, I guess eventually she was sort of an official Disney Channel girly, but like she was in the squad for sure. We
have a picture.
Yeah. We do.
Hold on. Let's pull it up. Look.
I don't know how to like explain this time in like, I don't know, preteen culture other than like
exhilarating.
Like planets colliding and like creating like I don't know how astronomy works. Just like the most incredible crossover event you've ever seen. Sweet Life on Deck with Hannah Montana has nothing on this. Like,
so true.
Taylor showing up in the Hannah Montana movie, and then that man whose name I can never remember being in the You Belong With Me music video.
It's Lucas Till, and I only know this because I Googled it, because there are two people who, there are a lot of people I can't tell apart, but there are two people who are related to Disney Channel in particular that I always get mixed up, and it's Lucas Till and Sterling Knight, and I did have to Google if this was Alex Summers or if this was Starstruck Bestie, and it's Alex Summers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There he is. Oh, that's so funny.
Like, my life was forever changed. The Hannah Montana movie became my personality for like a full year, because
we literally watched it together. We literally watched it together 2 months ago.
It was
and it was like the best day ever.
Hannah Montana, like, very seriously, but I've seen the movie many a times. Like, it was always
a great movie. And guess who helped write for the soundtrack? Not just Crazier, but Taylor Swift.
Taylor Allison Swift.
Swift. She was all over it.
It's the finale song.
You always find your way back home.
You'll always find your way back home. That's the one.
If I don't get an agent out of this because of my beautiful singing voice, what was the
You're gonna
point?
get a record contract.
I'm gonna be on Reputation TV. Confirmed. Yep. I'm the snake. It's me.
Incredible.
So my audition.
Reputation Taylor's version featuring producer Liz.
Consider this a self-tape. That's it. Oh my god. Okay, so Taylor Swift is a Disney girly. Fearless, the rebrand works. And she is, I will never, ever, ever forget the headlines and the awards she was getting. She won Entertainer of the Year and immediately polarized the community. But she was being told that like she saved country music, that she saved country music from dying because no label could get the next generation to care about country music. And Taylor got it. Like she made a whole generation sell out the Fearless World Tour, a 15-hour meet and greet that was supposed to be 13 hours, CMA Entertainer of the Year. And she said, I just got everything I ever wanted to win CMA Entertainer of the Year with Kenny Chesney and Keith Urban and Brad Paisley and was it Toby Keith or was it Garth Brooks was nominated that year and Taylor won. And it was like mind-blowing like success. And then, and I don't want to like jump like too far ahead here, right? But like it's so important that like we recognize that Fearless was like album of the year. It was intense criticism. It was all these things that we're going to talk about. And then she did another country album, which was Speak Now. We're going to talk about Speak Now next week, right? But in this moment, you have Taylor deciding, like, how far am I going to go with this? I just got everything I ever wanted, and I have everything happening to me, and I'm, like, 18 years old, and I have John Mayer dating me, and I have all this shit happening, and I'm, like, the it girl. I'm a cover girl. I'm SNL host. I'm all these things. Like, this is the moment where everything we know and experience about Taylor Swift, like, this is where it all comes back to. Like, it was a catapult to stardom that so many of us knew at the time, like, we are never going to not be a fan of her because of what she just did for us, right? And we knew she was going to be as big as she is in 2023, 2024. We knew that. We've been here. We're like, oh, yeah, we're going to see this girl, like, till we're 90, like, swinging around the country hats. Like, whatever she wants to do, we're there. And the world, it took the world until now to catch up and be like, oh, yeah, she's that girl. Right. Mm-hmm. So this was the beginning of people being like, yeah, I'm going to be here in the stadiums. I'll be here at the festivals, at Osheaga, at Coachella, where on the ocean, on a cruise, wherever she goes, I'll go. Like, Fearless is where it all comes back to.
And it never really stopped. There are so many people where like you hit this moment and you plateau, and it never stopped for her.
Would you postulate that the success of Fearless was the inciting incident for her making all of the mastermind plans that we are saying unveiled now? Like, this is where she started making all of those strategic decisions on all of the beats of her career for that we've seen so far.
1,000%. And I think part of the reason why I'm going to totally take over. I have a whole paragraph of notes about this, so I'm just going to read you what I wrote earlier today, right? Like, in music, you talk so much about the second album flop, right? And how everyone flops their second album. My theory about Taylor Swift is that her second album flop would have been Speak Now, wouldn't have been Fearless, because she did debut, and that is an album. It's more of an EP of her career, right? Because it was so big, and yet it was so confined in the context of who she became. Like, she did Fearless.
Like, scarily giving Fall Out Boy. Like, Take This to Your Grave was fine critically. And then Cork Tree was the blow up. And then Infinite High was the, like, kind of sophomore slump. Very much Speak Now. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so it makes sense why she, like, people couldn't understand why she was building the relationships she was building, right? But so few people were doing what she was doing. That's why she became friends with Hayley Williams, right? Because her mom was like the only other girl who can relate to what you're going through is Haley and Paramore. That's why she became friends with Fall Out Boy at that same time. Like there was nobody in pop, nobody in country that had that trajectory. It was all happening in other genres, like total domination. And there was the reluctance to accept that pop was now pop country in a way that it hadn't been since like Shania, since the Chicks. Like she brought back pop country in a way that really scared the shit out of people, right? And people did not want, like people like, she's a country girl, and like the diehard like country like genre pillars did everything they could to like reel her in. She's gonna leave us and make a pop album. She needs to be a country star. And then you have everyone in the pop industry being like, don't let her in because we're trying to raise these other stars in the same moment and she's going to obliterate them. And then you have her being like, well, I actually would love to experiment with pop music and I'm going to do it on Speak Now, but I'm going to label it a country album. And then again, she makes a choice to say, I'm going to do a country album, but I'm going to put pop songs on it, Red. And it's going to be one of the most confusing albums of my discography for that reason, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, everything in her career comes back to like all of the masterminding to this day. You can find a root in what she did during this time.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much. I feel so smart.
Oh, and then I have a transition line that I wrote earlier today. Can I read it?
Yeah, please.
And this isn't to say we're doing a full transition, but this is the time to say it. And all of this is why it makes sense that Fearless was the first re-recording. Because it was never going to be debut. It was always going to be the album that made Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Sorry, imagine if I didn't say that and then came back to that in 20 minutes. Like this was the moment to make that point.
Yeah. But you're 100% right. Because like I personally like tagged on to like the end of debut era. Like Teardrops on My Guitar was the very first YouTube video I ever watched. I made an email address so my friend could send me the link for it. It was a very exciting day. But like I was on the tail end of that. My first like album release for Taylor was her Christmas album, the long forgotten Christmas album. But like it's not long forgotten. Liz has a copy right next to her. There it is.
We love a show and tell.
Forgotten to who? Forgotten to who? Not this girl. Wow. Also, just quickly, the dress.
Oh wow.
The dress. Yeah.
That's the Teardrops on My Guitar music video.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like my first like real moment was Fearless. Was like I saw her on SNL. I saw her in the Hannah Montana movie. I saw her hanging out with all of the Disney people and the drama with Joe Jonas. And like the day she went on Ellen and said he broke up with me in a 10-second phone call. Like I was there for that in a way that I don't really know that I have been since. Like it, like Taylor feels like a very cultural moment, like her becoming, and it's like kind of crazy to be able to be like, yeah, I was there for that, and it did feel like a becoming in that way.
And that's why I think when you think about like fandom culture for Taylor, like, so it's interesting. Like there's a generation of people that can say that they were there at the start of Taylor Swift's career and at the start of Harry Styles' career, right? And it's not unique to me, but I am one of those people, right? Like I knew about One Direction when they were on X Factor. Like the only people who knew about Harry Styles before me were the people that watched X Factor on his audition day kind of thing. Like, and I figured it out through Tumblr, like way closer, like finale night kind of stuff, right? So you see these giants rising and you do kind of feel like, oh, well, you'll never understand Harry Styles the way I understand Harry Styles because I was 15 watching X Factor, and then all of a sudden they had a single, and then all of a sudden they came to North America for the first time, and it's burned into my memory for life, right? Like, so it's interesting today watching Taylor Swift sell at stadiums and like my favorite Taylor Swift fans right now are like people bringing their children to the shows. So it's like, oh, you were there singing Teardrops on My Guitar in high school. Like, and now you have a kid who's going to go to high school and sing Karma or like whatever comes out next, you know? Speak Now, like tracks that are like new in 2023. Bananas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Different.
And it's like, it's really, I've like been thinking about it a lot this week in particular because of like the 1989 re-release, and we're doing this series, and like Fearless is such a moment, and I hadn't really thought about it in that way, but when I saw it in the doc that you said Fearless was going to be like the only option for the first re-record, like 100%, like they're like it is quintessential Taylor. It is like, you know how they say like a lot of the like pop girlies are like frozen in the image that you were introduced to them in.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't conceptualize them in a different way. Like I think it's true for a lot of people. If you think of Taylor Swift, you think of Fearless era Taylor Swift, like the long wavy hair and the tan guitar and like sparkly little dresses, and like that's Taylor Swift. What do you want?
Do you want to talk about your moment at the Eras tour when the Fearless set started?
My God. I didn't care about the Fearless set. I was like, I know all these songs. I've known all of these songs for like 15 years. Who cares? I had like a come to Jesus moment when the Fearless set started.
It was the moment she did the twirl. Marissa was like, "Oh my God!"
Yes. I was like, "Oh, this is like speaking to a part of like my inner child that I didn't know was even there." It was crazy.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah.
All right, Sly, where do you want to go from here? You pick the next point, that because we're now like, ooh, Rain is it? Where would you like to go next in this list?
Do we want to jump into our rankings of Fearless?
Oh yeah, great call. Okay, again, a reminder: these are our favorites. These are not the definitive, almighty rankings, and we're lucky Exile isn't on Fearless either. Go ahead, Sly.
So you both broke it down by base album, platinum version. I only listened to the stolen version of the platinum edition once, all the way through.
Correct.
So I don't know the breakdowns. So these are just my top 6 Fearless-ish songs. So I have number 1, The Other Side of the Door. Number 2, Change. Number 3 is Coming with the Rain, and this one's very important. Why I put it here is because on my listen to the original, like platinum edition version, I didn't think it was very strong, but when I was listening to it, I had an inkling that I would really, really love the Taylor's version of that. And then I went back and re-listened to Taylor's version, Fearless, of that song, and I was 100% correct. So I preemptively ranked it number 3, but like if I had done this just with Taylor's version, I don't know where any of these would fall, but I definitely think Come In With the Rain might be higher. So that was my disclaimer for that. Number 4, I have Tell Me Why, and then I have The Way I Loved You and Breathe.
It's a good list. Okay, Marissa, do you want to go next?
Yeah, it's a good list, but the trend continues where Sly and I have complete polar opposite taste, because my list is number 1, Love Story, number 2, Forever and Always, and number 3, Hey Stephen. I like Mary Song and I like Hey Stephen, and everyone else can back up.
No, listen. There is like an archetype of Taylor Swift fans that are right there with you, that are diehard for Hey Stephen and Mary Song. Like, this is no shade. You are extremely valid in your stance.
Yes. I would like to believe that the Evermore girlies are with me on Hey Stephen and Mary Song.
They're with us. They're in the room with us. One thing that's going to become very apparent as we go through all of the rankings is the saddest Taylor Swift songs are always going to find their way into my top songs.
You love a sad song. You love the saddest song.
Exile is the best Taylor Swift song of all time. Okay. Like, if that doesn't tell you everything about my taste, then I don't know what does. Like, it's, yeah, I think Taylor Swift writes a sad fucking song better than anybody does. So my Fearless rankings, number one, and I must say, I am the owner of this song. So if you would like to listen to this song, you have to talk to me first. If you're streaming it this evening, you must DM me on Instagram and ask me first. You're Not Sorry. Woo! Can you believe that she wrote that as a teenager?
Incredible.
Shocking. And I had a note that there is a CSI version of this song, which is also a deep cut because Taylor talked and posted endlessly about how much she loved CSI at the time. So the fact that she got her song on CSI was like a major, like, best thing to ever happen to me moment. And now it's funny to say,
And
oh yeah, Taylor Swift had a song.
Version does slap, and you did make me listen to it. And I was like, damn, that's a great edit. You're right.
You're right, and you should say it.
Yeah.
I knew that you were gonna eat it up. I really did. It's like, and it's also okay. I'm gonna keep going. I could talk all night about the CSI version of You're Not Sorry, but that's not the show. That's like Patreon content. The Way I Loved You is my number 2. I put it on when I was doing my rankings. I was like, yeah, such a bop. And Breathe, obviously. That's like the pipeline of Breathe to Clean girlies is like the Venn diagram's a circle. Like, yeah. The Venn diagram circle.
I do have another breaking news. All of my devices are on Do Not Disturb for this recording. However, Alexis did just text me something. I think it was a screenshot, and she did click notify anyway, so she did just flash in my face. So, hi, Alexis.
Hi, Alexis. We miss you. Okay, let's talk about our Fearless TV rankings, or I guess no, let's talk about the Platinum rankings because this is different, right? Taylor put out the Fearless album and then Fearless went Platinum, so she put out the Platinum version of Fearless. This was like the original vault track, right? She put out a bunch of new songs which was like, and I too, I don't even own the original Fearless. I only have the Platinum version in there. And when I was doing this ranking, my original ranking, I was like, wait, excuse me? Like, there are songs that were vault songs of the era. Like, I could not believe that there was a Fearless era before these songs came out. That like actually hurt my brain. Like, I just can't believe we had a time of Fearless without those songs. Since we have the same list, Marissa, would you like to share what our ranking of Platinum tracks is?
Well, let me just say, I was not a Platinum Fearless girly. I had the regular album, and that was all the iTunes money I had.
Valid.
I didn't know the Platinum songs until I got playlists built by producer Liz. So my list is songs that I listened to from Liz.
I'm shook right now. I had no idea that was that my playlists were your gateway drug to the Platinum version of Fearless. Wow. Yeah. An honor.
Breaking news.
Yeah, I mean,
Breaking
like
news.
I listened to Fearless Taylor's version, but I didn't know like half the songs because they're not on the original album.
Mm-hmm. Wow. All right. Well, tell the people what my unbiased, your extremely biased ranking of the song, because I definitely only put my favorite Taylor Swift songs in my Taylor Swift playlists. So yes, please tell the people what's our ranking.
Yeah, a number 1 is The Other Side of the Door, which
Same.
I think is an entirely unbiased opinion. Number 2 is Come In With the Rain, and number 3 is Jump Then Fall.
So fun.
All objectively correct.
So fun. Yeah.
Very exciting.
We love. Do we want to just go right into our Fearless TV rankings? Excuse me.
Sure.
Yeah.
My disclaimer for this is I listened to Fearless Taylor's version once that day. I drove 8 hours and listened to all the Taylor Swift music she owns. And that was like my first time experiencing Taylor Swift. And then once when I was doing my spreadsheet, and so I had to go back and listen to the vault tracks before recording today to know any of them.
Valid. That's valid. That's valid.
There are a lot of Fearless Taylor's version songs that have been lost to the sands of time for a lot of people, I think.
So I went through and I just ranked all 6 of them from top to bottom. And
go from number 6 up to number 1. Let's
I will say the top 3 are the ones that were like neutral positive to very positive. The rest were neutral or neutral negative-ish.
Right on. Right on.
Okay. So number 6 is Bye Bye Baby.
Objectively correct.
Yeah.
Objectively correct.
Thing about Baby
Undeniable.
as like honor or a nickname or whatever, which actually ties into why my number 4 song is where it is. It might be higher if not for the baby in it. Number 5, I have That's When. I'm not a huge repetition girly. Like, if it's repetitive, it has to have a reason. It has to convince me that it's earned. Number 4 is We Were Happy. Again, probably would be higher if not for the baby lyrics. So then number 3 is You All Over Me. Really fun instrumentation in that. Number 2 is Mr. Perfectly Fine. A bop. And then number 1 is Don't You.
So bold. So bold. But these are
Really?
Sly's rankings, everybody. These are Sly's rankings. Sly's rankings. Remember, we're not here to bully each other for our opinions. You are very valid. You're very valid, my friend.
It's not incorrect, but
it's not incorrect. I will inform you as a new member of our community that Mr. Perfectly Fine is like the fan cult favorite of I think like a lot of people would rank Mr. Perfectly Fine within their top 3 of all the Fearless era songs. Like it's it's the publicly song. It's just so you
There's
know.
A reason it was the lead single.
And you're Mr. Perfectly Fine. And then the whole Joe Jonas of it all, and how we can call Mr. Joe Jonas Mr. Perfectly Fine. And it's like there's a cult following around Mr. Perfectly Fine. So by putting it at number 2, you've been very brave.
Really reinforcing that JJ and I also have a very similar relationship to Marissa and I, where we have very polar opposite opinions on things. And I love that for us.
This is interesting, though, because you and I's Fearless TV vault tracks are basically the same, just in different orders.
Go for it, Marissa. What's yours?
Go for it.
Number 1 is obviously Mr. Perfectly Fine. That is undeniable. That should be the top of everyone's list.
Another
2,
breaking news from Alexis.
Oh.
If you're new here, because I know
900-ish NHL players existing in the years Taylor was writing Fearless, 895 could be described as Mr. Perfectly Fine.
Who are the 5 that don't make the cut? We will reveal at a later time. Oh my god. I miss you, Alexis. Okay, sorry. Please continue. I'm going to laugh about that.
Number 1 is Mr. Perfectly Fine. Number 2, I refused to make a decision because it truly depends on the day. It is either We Were Happy or You All Over Me. Those are both number 2. And then number 3 is Don't You.
I will say I did have, like, I went back and forth between You All Over Me and We Were Happy. Like, those 2 were very close.
Yeah.
And then there's me. And I've got Mr. Perfectly Fine, You All Over Me, and then That's When. Because I think all the points you made about That's When I agree with, but I love going, that's whenever I want. It's become part of my dialect. So that's when. And I eat it up every time I say it. Every time I get to go, that's when, it's a good moment. Never on key, never a moment anyone wants to hear it.
JJ has Bye Bye Baby as number 2 and We Were Happy is last. Incorrect. No one is wrong, but that's incorrect.
Okay, so our code of not bullying each other lasted very short, but it's both community to us and us to community. So I feel like this is good. This is now a healthy dynamic we have. So I have some comments coming in.
Before we get into Liz's, I just have to open up my next drink.
That was good. That was good. I'm seeing comments about like
it's fine.
A lot of people just don't love the Fearless Vault songs, and like that is absolutely valid. Like I think the Vault songs are kind of like, especially with Fearless, because like when you talk to like the diehard community, like there's diehards for every album, right? Like people that have as huge of a reaction to Speak Now as they do Fearless. But I think in the context of how big Fearless is as like a cornerstone of becoming a fan, it's hard to add anything to that era.
I have two thoughts about this. First, none of the Vault songs made the favorites playlist until today. But two, I think the reason for that is that we already got the best Fearless Vault songs with the Platinum Edition. And so anything left over from that era like wasn't even good enough
to
make
the
second release.
That's a great point. It's a great point. Wow. Round of tacos, and if you're new here, instead of saying a round of applause, we do say a round of tacos. So a round of taco emojis in the chat to Sly for that one. Yeah, you're right. Good point. And I also think like Mr. Perfectly Fine, right? Which you could say is now like a cult classic, huge in the fandom. The 2022 context of that song, and like her and Joe Jonas being friends again, and Joe Jonas being very liked in pop culture and very popular in pop culture again. Like that is not a song that is popular because of Fearless. It's a song that is popular because of like a modern context put on it. If it had been put out in 2009, I don't think we would have. I think we would have been like, oh, that song was about Joe Jonas. But it was like, Joe, yeah, Mr. Perfectly Fine, whatever. Like, you know.
His well-pressed suit that is like a t-shirt with a vest over it and spiky hair.
Wait.
It's just fun to meme about it. Yeah.
There he is.
Oh, that's not even as bad as it was.
It's true. It's very true. Oh my God. Okay. Where do we wrap our show from here? We have about 15 minutes left. Oh my God, lots of new people hanging out with us. We're so happy to have you. And if you are new, please know the comments are very open for you to say hi. This is a very, other than when we're arguing about our Taylor Swift song rankings, this is a very welcoming and fun community. And everyone here is, you know, we love recognizing you in the comments every week. So feel free to introduce yourselves and come hang out.
Oh, I did have two strong thoughts about the You Belong With Me making of music video documentary thing that you made me watch.
Yeah.
Great.
The first being that the cheerleader bitch was also played by Taylor. That was brand new information. Breaking news to me.
I knew it would be.
had no clue.
I knew it would be. I was so excited to be able to tell you, and I'm so happy that you got there on your own.
I was shocked. And then the other thing was I was absolutely mortified by, in the video, she was like trying to play the clarinet with her like upper teeth resting on the reed and like squeaking. And I was like, how do you not know your mouthpiece is upside down?
Right? Horrified. That music video really has a special place in music video history. Like the window signs, like she really rewrote history with that. Like she just canon event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then not controversial, but the way that Conan Gray and Olivia Rodrigo recreated it for the TV promo in 2021, that hit really well.
It really did. It really did.
Like I truly think You Belong With Me might be the best music video of all time. Just as a piece of iconography, as a moment in culture. Like, also, it followed the story. I get really frustrated when music videos have a plot that has nothing to do with the song.
It's very, very valid.
Like, I love the I Can See You music video, but what are you doing, Taylor? That is not what that song is about.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Mm-hmm. Let's set up where we go from here. So next week we're going into Speak Now, Speak Now TV, Red TV, I guess. 4 albums next week. Those 2 eras, 2 huge moments for Taylor Swift. And earlier we talked a little bit about what from this era kind of it transcends like all of it, right? So like what are some of the things from Fearless that we're going to see more of in Speak Now and in Red? Like what are the things to focus on from this era that are important for the next? Obviously in this era she was dating John Mayer. John Mayer is here. He's in the room with us. He was a part of Fearless era.
He's not welcome in this room.
He's not welcome in this room. We very much would like him out. So you have this girl going on the biggest tour in the world with the heartbreak that became Dear John. You have the meanest of mean things being written and said about her on the internet. Like people tearing her apart for everything she does. We didn't talk about SNL. Marissa, would you like to talk about SNL?
Oh, Taylor hosting SNL was the very first episode of SNL I ever watched. I didn't know what it was. I thought that the parody news segments were real. The commercials were real. None of it was real. And I watched it like 2 hours after I had seen Wicked for the first time. And if you know me, you know how much I love Wicked. Like that day.
The day that Marissa was
maybe
born.
Like literally that was the day that like culture hit me for the first time. Yeah, man, what a moment. The monologue song, what a moment. Like how old was I? 11? Maybe I had just turned 12. And I was fully in my Twilight era and wow.
I did have a question that I was thinking of saving for the 1989 Reputation show, but I can pose it here if you want.
Please.
With the announcement of 1989 being the next re-record, that leaves Debut and Reputation, and a lot of people have a lot of things to say about how like the 2 things left are like her name and her reputation. Very funny. I totally stole that from somebody else. I don't know who. But with all of your knowledge and experience and history, which would you pick to be the next released after 1989?
Let me find my tinfoil hat. We're going to cloud school, everybody.
This is interesting because I think Reputation is next, but I also would say Reputation should be next. Because if self-titled Debut wasn't going to be the first,
it'll be the last.
Kind of has to be the last. Like I don't see a way in which like that would have been like released in the middle or like the second or like the second to last. It just like feels too monumental. Even though it like maybe wasn't as consequential as a lot of the other albums, like Reputation was a crazy time in culture, but like it also had it's like a very big moment. Like Reputation as an album, as an era, had a world tour, had a documentary, had a huge cultural moment already that like I feel like there will be time spent on it, but I don't think it will be like the closing chapter.
It's a great theory. It very much aligns with this. Are you familiar with this wall fly?
The infinity symbol.
I have seen this image before, but please explain it to me.
Okay, let's break it down. I'm sure everyone in the comments is now writing a thesis about what this is. So Taylor Swift in the Lover era did a music video for The Man. And she plays the man in this video, and she pees on this wall, right? And the Swifties are like, okay, obviously, like we're more than well trained on Easter eggs, and Lover really is the era of clown school. Like there is so much clowning that we did during Lover. Like it was bad. We went way too far during Lover era, way too much of the time. But we got this, and we were like, okay, we're not clowning. This is very clearly telling us something, right? Like these are the albums and she's going to reclaim them, right? She put out Fearless first, which you see in the top right. And everyone went, okay. She did it. She gave us Fearless. And from here, where do we go? And the community feeling was that this is a clock. So she did Fearless. She did Red. She did Speak Now, right? And then everyone said, well, Reputation is next, because if it's a clock, she's going to go over to the other side. But no, she went to 1989, which starts an infinity circle.
Okay.
And so I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? So in the imagery for Red TV and 1989 promo, she's been wearing this bracelet with the infinity logo on it. And her music is being used in like the show of the summer for YA, which we will not talk about because it has struck work, which has very prominent placement and use of the infinity logo. So everyone's like, the infinity symbol is clearly very important, which means she's going to do 1989. And she did do 1989. So this is where it gets tricky, because if this is an infinity symbol, then technically her name is next, because it's the next one down. If found, please return to Taylor Swift. But if it's only the graffiti, then it's Reputation next.
Then the Reputation, the infinity line from Reputation would go through Taylor Swift and then into Karma to hit Fearless again.
Oh, that's a good point. So it would go down to Reputation, to Taylor Swift, to Karma, to Fearless. Yep, that's a straight line, my friends. So that's the current clown school theory. Yeah. That is where the PhDs in Taylor Swift clowning are currently standing. There's a peer-reviewed paper that millions of people have co-signed. The most important thing that everybody needs to know is that when it's announced, you must check on me. You must.
It will not be good news for producer Liz.
It will be a very scary time in my life when Reputation TV is announced.
Marissa might have to get on a plane.
Does that help answer your question?
It does. Very much so.
Yeah. So I thought that it was going to be like Reputation and then 1989 and then Taylor Swift, for kind of like the same reason that you were talking about before, that she would do reclaiming her reputation, reclaiming like the year she was born, and then her name. But no, that's not. Anyway, so that's fine. Exciting times. Exciting times. Very fun. What else is important to just note as we exit this era? I think go ahead.
Well, in looking at Speak Now and Red, we're like moving farther into the songwriter of it all. We're going into the storyteller, the writer. beyond the like music icon. So I would just encourage anyone that's going to follow the syllabus to really put your literary analysis brains on and like be really listening, be really thinking about
read
what
the lyrics. Just read the
Yeah.
lyrics. You can even read them without the music if you want to get the full purpose of what these eras were about. It was very much the music mattered, obviously, and there's a lot of cool things that happen with the music, but you're completely right that like these were eras that were, the stakes were in the writing for her. It was very personal that the writing was successful in these albums.
Yeah, and we'll talk about all of the ways that impacted the music and the ways that her life impacted the music and the music impacted her life and blah blah blah. And I can talk about it more next week, but like in revisiting Speak Now and Red as Taylor's versions, I think that was the like main thing that I took away was like, because they didn't really hit me that hard when I was younger, but like having a more mature brain and like being able to think about what I was listening rather than just like, ooh, I like the beat, is a very different and like much richer experience. So I would encourage everyone else to go into it.
Very
well
exciting.
said. Last thought on this goes to Sly. Sly, what are you leaving this conversation with? What is news to you? What's sticking in your brain right now about these eras? Where are you at?
It's really interesting to me to revisit this time from a very different cultural perspective than the one I lived through it as. And it's really interesting for me to kind of revisit all of these thoughts and conflicting emotions around like the concept of like being socialized as a girl and what it means to be like feminine in this time, and now like reframing those from my lived experience now. And like I think I get a lot more from these eras than I ever would have as a kid, even though I was like very resistant. Bunky talks about this a lot when talking about Taylor Swift, as how they like refused to listen to Taylor Swift and like did not engage with it. I was very much the same, very much wasn't my thing. I will say, however, it is really funny to me. My father was a huge fan, especially in the like debut era. He was a big like supporter, like she's so young and talented and like so cool that she's doing all these things. So I was exposed to it a lot, but I never chose to buy in until now, and engaging with it through a queer lens, through a trans lens, and especially through the Taylor's versions of these albums has been really, really cool for me.
I was listening to CBC the other night, and they had a sociologist on to talk about why Taylor Swift's so important in today's culture. And she was saying that there are more people now who feel like they are a part of Taylor Swift's audience than ever before because of the way society has evolved since she put out those initial albums, and how society conditioned people to listen to art and media created by women. And in today's culture, which is like, you know, we're a decade, technically we're 2 decades later, like we're talking about the 2000s, 2010s, whatever, right? But really we're like within a 15-year window, how far society has come, where a lot of people who have different experiences and lives and gender expressions are now conditioned and are able to live in a way where it's not weird to listen to media created by women, including Taylor Swift. And she was saying that that is part of the demand. Like, could Taylor have sold out a stadium for like a different tour where she played an arena? Like, she probably could have been close to doing it. But part of the demand is coming from Taylor Swift has never had such a diverse audience, because people felt like they couldn't interact with her when they were in a different gender box or in a different whatever than they are today. I think that makes sense.
Bunky earlier had a comment about like the pre-reputation and post-reputation, like fan circles. I think that like once we started hitting like the pre-2020 eras of Taylor Swift were very much tight-knit, like resistant community. Like it was hard to get into, even though the culture around was sort of shifting to make it more, it wasn't very approachable. And then I think with folklore, we started to see everybody kind of rallying around this art that was being created at the time and feeling more welcome into the community as a whole.
So cool. So interesting, hey? It'll be interesting to see like in another 10 years like what kind of societal evolution is going to take. Like, I can't even imagine what kind of societal evolution we're going to be at in 10 years time and how that's going to change how we interact with her, like what she's putting out now, right? Like, and this is such a big conversation to have when we get to like the 1989 Reputation version, but the idea of queerness being in the Taylor Swift universe, like there was no queerness involved other than the homophobic edit in Debut, right? Like there was never a queer lens put on Taylor music, and then it took Debut, Fearless. I'm literally counting her. I'm not doing this for show. I don't know. Debut, Fearless, Speak Now, Red. It's number 5. It took 5 albums for it to even be part of the conversation that Taylor Swift music could be for a queer audience. That's a lot. That's a lot of art to put out before it's even thought of that there was an audience for that. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I'm very excited to when we get to where we can dive into the queer themes and motifs and imagery that she implements into later projects. That will be very fun.
It will be very fun. That's 2 weeks from tonight, folks. 2 weeks from tonight, we'll get to 1989 and Rep. Next week, it is Speak Now. It is Red. And because y'all have said you want to see the syllabus, we will make it, first of all, and then we will share it with Sly, and then we will share it with all of you. It'll be great. So if you want to see the syllabus for next week's episode, we'll post it on After Party Show. I think we have a banner. For that somewhere.
I tried to find it. I couldn't find it.
This is what I do. I just make new ones, and then I just put them in the places they don't need to be, but they're in the right place for now. Here we go. Becoming a Swiftie ad. Here we go. Look, boom. That's our ad. You can find us on After Party Show on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram, and you can thank Marissa
on Threads.
On Threads. I keep forgetting about Threads as an app, to be honest. It's just not great.
Yeah.
I have, unfortunately, as I've made my entire personality being Twitter is my primary social media platform. I have fully jumped ship. So that tells you a lot about the state of Twitter currently. So come hang out with me on Threads.
Listen, valid, very valid, very valid. And this week, let's talk about some of the things that we're talking about this week that we're doing. I know there's a lot of new folks hanging out with us that might not have been to the show before. So you'll find us on social media all week. We are all creators here. We all do different things. We all do different shows and different things. And we come together once a week to talk about media. And now we're talking about Taylor Swift, which is super fun. This week, I'm actually traveling again for work. So we'll see. But I'm going to try and go live when the pre-sale codes for RBC drop on Tuesday. I'll be at a team dinner. So I don't know how I'm going to make that work, but I'll figure it out. I'll see you guys on Tuesday for that. And we'll talk about the pre-sales happening next week for Toronto Taylor Swift. And then we'll be back next Friday to do this show again. So that's where I'll be this week. And I'm answering your questions on Instagram because it's the only place where my DMs are working right now. So if you have a question for me, it's the only place you're going to get a response. It's not because I hate you. It's because every app hates me. Marissa, where can the people find you this week? And what are some of the things that you've talked about?
Yes, you can find me everywhere at Missabobissa. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, technically. I cover all things media, pop culture, and musical theater. Currently not talking about struck work. So I have some ideas. I have a series in development in my brain about casting your favorite celebrities in musical theater.
Please do.
Florence Pugh is first on the list.
Oh, that's so good.
So once I get my shit together, that will be coming on TikTok.
Oh,
And of
so
course,
Hell
Taylor
yeah.
Swift. I will be screaming about 1989 Taylor's version for as long as I can.
Yeah.
And Renee Rapp's album comes out this week.
big night.
Snow Angel
Big
comes
night.
out. Yeah.
Big night. Yep. We'll be all over that. Sly, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Wednesdays at Point in Progress. It's at Point in Progress everywhere. That is a general chat podcast, mostly from the lens of gaming, but we talk about what we're watching, playing, listening to, reading, all that good stuff. You can also find me on TikTok live every Thursday night with JJ, who has been in the YouTube chat. Very exciting. Where we the original idea was to talk about a certain Struck work inebriatedly, and now we're just kind of hanging out and chatting about our lives and treating it like a personal FaceTime call. So if you want to also
It's very
join our
fun.
personal
It's very
FaceTime
fun.
call, it's very fun. You can join us on TikTok live every Thursday night, except for not next week because I'll be in Seattle. So and then you can always find me here and everywhere on the internet at Cyclone MC. I am on Threads if you want any of my written thoughts. That's where they will be appearing for the foreseeable future. And Threads just got alt text for images. We love to see it.
Thank God. Thank God. Woohoo.
And yeah, I'm not creating a lot of content on the internet. You can find me in Seattle. I will be in Seattle for the Storm game, the Phoenix Mercury game on Sunday. I will be in Seattle next Thursday, and then I will be in Seattle for the entire Labor Day weekend. I am working as an enforcer at PAX West again. I'll be there all 4 days hanging out. If you are in the area or going to the show, please come say hi. Let
So
you know
fun.
what theater I'm working. It's a great time. I love PAX. So please.
Sly
come
PAX era is always one of my favorite eras. You come back from PAX and you're like, I have so many thoughts and things that I want to do right now. It's
There are stories to tell.
so good.
I'm thinking last year I did a thread on the platform formerly known as Twitter, where I took a selfie every time I did an outfit change. I think I might do that again this year on Threads. So if you want to
I love
see,
that.
I usually go through about 3 outfits every day. That'll be a great time.
Love that. Love that. And Alexis is our other co-host who's not here tonight. Just Alexis Blake in all of the places that you can find a person to follow. Just Alexis Blake. And Alexis posts a variety of things sometimes, and sometimes does not post anything. But you should still follow Alexis because she has cats that are great, and we love them.
Oh,
and
follow at Tommy and Sassy Blake on Instagram if you want cat content.
if you want cat content, it really, really is the best. This was so much fun. I'm so glad we got to introduce, debut, and Fearless, and we got some new Will Throw the After Party lore for these eras. This is great. Love it.
Very exciting.
And I think first we will say goodnight to TikTok Live. Good night, TikTok
Thanks for
Live. We will
hanging
see you.
out.
We'll see you so soon. Because if I don't end the TikTok Live first, I never end it, and then we're sitting here and I'm still live, and it's a problem. And now we'll say goodnight to all the other places here that we are live. So glad that you guys are here. And if you're new to YouTube, make sure that you subscribe. I saw a couple of new people came into the live tonight, which is very exciting. So make sure you're subscribed. And we'll see you next Friday night on Will Through the After Party. I got to find the end screen. Ah!